Hey everyone, this is Steve from Publish Press, and in this video I'm talking with Brad from Block Themes Pro. He's an expert in building themes the new WordPress way with Gutenberg blocks from the ground up. Hey Brad.
Hey, how's it going, Steve?
Hey, do you mind introducing yourself quickly?
Yeah, I'm Brad Hogan. I've been developing WordPress sites for roughly 10 or so years. Started off by learning how to code in Dreamweaver and then slowly progressed to a little bit more advanced stuff and got interested in design. Very familiar with the old ways of building WordPress sites, a lot of custom fields, a lot of pixel by pixel design and whatnot, and things have changed, times have changed. So competing with like the Squarespaces of the world and whatnot. So yeah, I've kind of moved my business to more block theme focused, and yeah, I guess that's why we're chatting.
So you're entirely in on the new Gutenberg editor.
Yeah, I do. I still do a lot of freelance work. I'm trying to focus that more towards nonprofits these days, but do a lot of. For a while, I had a theme shop that was specifically focused towards people that were online course creators. Kind of when that was a newer space, like Teachable was kind of the only other company in that space, and we had a lot of success with that. But our themes were very focused on custom fields and very focused on ACF built into the themes. And while that was good for what it was at the time, I have transitioned to Gutenberg because it's much more visually, it's much easier to edit visually for someone that's maybe a more novice with editing websites and whatnot. So yeah, all in on Gutenberg.
It's good to talk about it, but it's even better to show it. Are you able to show us what you're working on and why it might be better than the old approach? I know we definitely have some customers who they've been using, say, the classic editor for 10 years, and they have the attitude, if it ain't broke, why fix it? I've been using the classic editor all this time. Why do I need the block editor? Do you mind sharing your screen and showing us a little bit about what you're working on and why this new direction for WordPress is so cool?
Yeah, definitely. And to those people's point, I was one of those people as even a developer too. I probably for 2 or so years, I think Gutenberg came around in 2018, something like that. And I would say that I was heavily a fan of the classic editor plugin. So I totally understand. Yeah. And I guess one of the main reasons I kind of moved towards Gutenberg was because I just saw that it was editors were going more and more visual, and there was just no fighting it. I mean, so it's,
It's how Squarespace, Weebly, Wix works, how they all work these days. They have the visual drag and drop design.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, my whole like ethos with building sites is trying to do less is more. So all of my designs are generally more focused on simple, clean, white space. And that goes with kind of how I like to make it the back end as well. So like I don't have a ton of settings or theme options. Like if you have a page builder, you're familiar with like some of the older style themes, like you'll just have an options page with just endless tabs of different options. And one of the nice things about Gutenberg is that you don't necessarily have to have those like set options anymore, because you have a lot more freedom to kind of change colors, button styles, spacing issues, like stuff like that, typography. Like you can do all of that within just the native WordPress functionality now, which is really nice.
From your point of view with the theme, you can have less settings, less features because the WordPress core does a lot of the heavy lifting for you with Gutenberg.
Exactly. And you don't like the nice thing about that. And what I tell a lot of my freelance clients, especially nonprofits who have super plugin heavy sites, the less you can rely on like third-party plugins and whatnot, the less conflicts you're going to have, right? When you update WordPress, when you update your theme or whatever it is. And so I just find that like, if you can just kind of stick to the core plugins that you really want, that like are really going to have functionality that just WordPress maybe doesn't have, which of course, like you're going to have some of those plugins, Publish Press authors, for example. But outside of that, like you now don't need a plugin to add custom typography. You don't need one to manage colors or whatever it is,
So if I buy a Block Themes Pro design, like the one we're looking at right here, How easy is it to edit or to customize a design like this?
Sure. So what we're looking at here is one of our demo templates, and this is the front end of the site. So this is what, someone would see if they were landing on the website. And then if, let's say this is my site, I'm logged into the WordPress admin and I want to edit this page. I'll go up to here to edit page. And this is literally what it looks like in the back end. So this is
almost a complete match to the front end of the site.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the beauty of WordPress, right? Like if you're familiar with using ACF Pro or a page builder, and you looked in the back end of this site, you can only imagine what that classic editor would look like with all of the different like manually input fields and text area.
Literally 180 degrees different from the front of the site.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the beauty of this is you can create pages on the fly and edit pages on the fly and just see what you're doing. Like you get a sense of if you edit something here, what it's going to look like in the back end, which is really nice, right? Like especially if it's someone that's not maybe super tech savvy.
Yeah, I mean, most of us really are visual learners, even if we say we're not. It's much easier to actually see what we're doing rather than having to translate it from obscure layout code into a possible preview of what we'll get on the front of the site.
Totally. And I would say like, maybe a lot of people's homepage doesn't change that much. Maybe you just have some dynamic content that gets pulled in and you're using a classic editor and you just have more of a blog roll site, or you have, some sort of query that's bringing in posts somewhere that's kind of like refreshing part of the page to make it look like it's newer. So you don't ever really mess with that, but maybe you run like email campaigns for a specific promo that you're running or whatever it is, and you want to create a page on the fly. To do that in like the old classic editor, maybe you duplicate a page and you kind of clunk it together and you figure it out. But in the block theme, like what you can do is they have what are called block patterns. And so every block theme developer can add block patterns and customize them, sky's the limit basically. I generally keep it pretty simple. I think we have like about 20 block patterns that are they're basically just layouts of things of blocks, sections of a page that you would kind of reuse and you'd want to like recreate basically. And you can do that at the click of a button. So if I just, as an example, so let's just do here. So I'll just show you real quick. Publish this and we'll just see how, ugly and simple it is. So there's nothing going on here. And let's say we have some sort of promo that we want one specific call to action to go to. So I can come over here, and again, every theme is going to have a handful of different templates. We have basically one that has a hero at the top. We have one that hides the page title. That's just the default page title. And then we also just have a blank template. So that way, if you had some sort of promo where you didn't want the header visible, you didn't want the footer visible or anything, like you no longer would need like some sort of like lead pages plugin or whatever the plugin is. Like you could just have this completely blank template and start from scratch. And so I'll just choose that blank template and let me go in here and I'll go to
this is a bit of a callback to the old days of WordPress. You used to be able to go into the sidebar there and choose an old school template. With certain themes, they would have templates available that you could select in the right sidebar.
Yeah.
Now you have them with the block themes as well.
Yeah, and the way that that used to work is your templates, the developer would have to kind of code what that template would look like, though. So you would have a bunch of options to maybe you'd have 10 different templates available to you. The developer would have to kind of code like this section, this is a hero section. And, maybe it pulled in certain custom fields because they integrated ACF into that theme. But it would be very kind of like relegated to like what content you could add to that particular template. Whereas now we just have this blank template. So it's basically going to strip out the header and the footer, but it's going to still give you all of the WordPress functionality that you want. And then it's kind of up to you to create it how you want. And that can be overwhelming for a lot of people, right? Like you don't, like if you're not a designer or developer, like you don't know what you need, right? And so that's where the block patterns come into to play, is because you can just dump these pre-built, like I built these block patterns, you can go in there and just dump them in. Like I just dumped this in here and it added this background image, a title, a little sentence, and a call to action button. So I can swap out this image here and it doesn't look like it's just a gray background. And you can change overlays very easily, which is really cool. Get this out of the way here.
This is just using the core, one of the core blocks in WordPress to make the server image.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're utilizing the WordPress core here.
Yeah. And so, a block is, a paragraph is considered a block in the new Gutenberg editor. A title or a heading is considered a block. And so block patterns are usually kind of a combination of blocks that whatever the theme developer wanted to create. So in this case, I have this cover background image. I've got a heading overlaid, a paragraph, and a button on top of it. But if you go, and this isn't just with the Block Themes Pro themes, like if you go to any block theme and you click that little plus button in the editor and you click patterns, there'll be generally a handful of different options here for just pre-built. So I can click literally like any of these options over here. And like if I click that right there, it just added it to the page. And so it makes it very easy to add content to your page. And if you don't really want to focus on design, or you don't have like a design eye necessarily, the idea would be that the theme developer kind of does have that design eye, and it makes it a lot easier. So I can click that one and add that to the page. And so I can save this page. Obviously this isn't like something that I would, we didn't pretty this up, but let me just view the page. And you can see that this is the front end of the page. So within, seconds, we've already got this page kind of coming together. And this is all using native functionality. It's all responsive.
So if we're running down the reasons why people in 2024 would consider going with a block theme rather than an old-fashioned theme, we have ease of use. We have, it's lightweight because it's using the WordPress core. Are there any other reasons that people should think about when it comes to choosing an old-fashioned theme or a block theme?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing when I'm working with people one-on-one, the biggest thing that they love about it is that they can kind of pass it off to other people to help them manage, or that is one of like the bigger things. Because it's visual, like I can say like, hey, can you edit this page? Or hey, can you edit this page? And if you're just going and you're clicking edit page, like it's going to be very obvious how to manage the content on that page, versus if you're passing it off to someone that's maybe not super familiar with kind of how you've been using your site for so long, then maybe, that's not going to be as intuitive.
Are these themes faster as well because they're more lightweight?
Yeah, they're definitely faster. I've had, and this is more on like the freelance side of things, where I've had clients that their page speed with previous sites that were using the classic editor, were using ACF, their page speeds usually have around like 50 or 60. And generally when you move to Gutenberg and you kind of strip out the plugins that you don't necessarily need anymore, and you really clean everything up, and you're able, because you're using native functionality, you can update to the latest version of WordPress. You can update all of your plugins without worrying about, the whole site blowing up. That site speed usually goes to 80, 90. Just with that simple.
That's a huge difference.
Transition. Yeah. I mean, it's massive.
Okay. So it's less conflicts because you're relying on less external plugins or less external theme features, and it's faster. And so we can add those to being easy to use and being lightweight and closer to the core.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm remembering all these because we do have a lot of people at Publish Press still who are thinking, I really don't want to go this Gutenberg route. And I'm going to make a list of them, and whenever they contact me and say, I want to stay with classic editor,
and I mean,
I'll raise assist with them.
The big thing, I think a big reason that people don't necessarily want to transition is, like you said, like it's working. So why would you, switch? If it's not broken, don't fix it. But at the same time, it's only going to get progressively worse if you can't make those updates to like newer versions of WordPress, or you can't update your plugins because it'll conflict with newer versions of WordPress or whatever theme you're using. And so at some point there'll be, just the whole site might blow up, and maybe it won't, maybe it'll be totally fine. But I think people are worried about moving their content from and it can be a pain to move your content from all these custom fields over to Gutenberg, because that transition isn't necessarily super smooth. Like the way a lot of page builders store their content are in these custom field meta tags basically. And so you can't just install a block theme necessarily in a lot of cases, and it's just going to look beautiful, right? So one thing that we try to do to kind of help with that is we have our pro plan comes with hosting. And so we'll set people up with a temporary domain. And so if you sign up for that plan, you can pick, we have roughly 10 demo templates right now, or like template designs, like the editorial theme or editorial site is one of the demo sites. And you can basically start with one of the demo sites, whatever design you like best. And we'll set that up on a temporary domain for you. And then what you can do is just kind of start, it's a kind of a good time to just purge your old content, right? Like the posts usually come over super easy because that's the way that those are added into WordPress is relatively the same, whether you're using Classic Editor or Gutenberg. But if you have a homepage that's got 100 different custom fields on it to pull all these things in from different places on your old Classic Editor site, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's just going to transition over to Gutenberg. It's not, right? So what you can do in that case is start to use those block patterns and use the blocks and play with this on a temporary domain so your live site's not impacted at all. And you can start to pull over the content that you want, play with it, see if it's a good fit for you. Not, it's not. And, you cancel and you don't love it. But if you pull everything over and you realize oh man, that's so much easier to manage. And, I've gotten rid of all this clunky stuff that I don't need anymore, then you've got this new site that's going to last you. It should last you quite a while because it's using native WordPress functionality. So as WordPress updates, your site's updated.
And certainly if you're starting a new site, this would be a better way to go. It may be maybe some work to transition over an old site, but if you're starting a brand new site, you'll be a lot more future-proof if you start off with a block theme in 2024.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely wouldn't recommend anyone start a new site with a page builder or custom fields or anything.
So you've been working on an integration with published press authors to show more than one author on some of your things.
Yeah, I've seen this style on some more news heavy sites, and I thought it looked really cool. And in chatting with you, it was a good opportunity to kind of bring this into a block theme, I thought. And it's a very simple integration that you might just look at it and just think, oh, that looks good, but you wouldn't think that it was maybe something that was a theme combined with a plugin. But yeah, if you on this editorial demo site, if I just click this first main featured post here, you'll see that we've got the two thumbnails here kind of overlapped, and then both authors here. And
that's a slick design. We need to borrow that for published press authors itself.
Yeah. And relatively easy to set up. So I know you guys are still working on a lot of kind of transitioning some of your guys' settings to Gutenberg settings and stuff. But this is all, I guess, another tangent is another thing that's cool about Gutenberg is on the fly. We were talking about creating templates, right? Like how the old ways of theme building, a developer could create a handful of templates for a theme. Well, now in Gutenberg, you can just create templates or edit templates. So if you use Block Themes Pro theme or use some other block theme and you have the single post template. So a lot of people in WordPress are familiar with that. That's going to display your blog post, right? You can edit that theme and add something so that it shows up every single time that someone's viewing a blog post. And so that could be great for if you on ours, for example, we have this little monthly subscribe option here at the bottom that, you would ultimately link that to your MailChimp or whatever it is. But if you had some other thing that you always wanted to show up there, it's very easy to just edit the template in a visual setting, like I can just click this button right here. And let's say under the title, I'm running this promo and I just want to show that Publish Press, you'll get full stuff. And we can say we want to change the color of this. Oops. Okay, so we'll save this, and then every time we're viewing, I just edited the single post template. So every time we're viewing any sort of single article, that's going to show up now. So if I go over here, that shows up.
That was easy.
Yeah, so super easy. So if you're running any sort of promo, and then once that's done, you just go edit the site, take that out, and it's done. It's gone. So yeah, very easy. If you wanted to, I know a lot of public press users add the author bios at the bottom of the post. So that's also super easy. I can go to another demo site that we have. Let's see. I think this one's integrated with Publish Press also. But I just wanted to see. I thought I had one that already had that on there. Yeah, so this one's using Publish Press as well. Look any of these, so you can see this one again has that kind of style that we've added with the two thumbnails. I think we even have one with 3 authors, and it still looks really good. Yeah, so 3 authors still looks really cool. If we wanted to add those bios at the bottom, we just go into the Publish Press settings over here, authors settings. We just check the little box here, click Save Settings. Let's jump back to a post. And we should see that. Yeah. So then we just see the boxes at the bottom.
Okay. So final question from me. Is there anything super exciting that you're looking forward to from Gutenberg? Something new that's coming that you might be able to incorporate in your themes and help your users out even more?
Ooh. It's a good question. I would say I can't think of any one specific thing, but I do like that, and it's kind of a conflict with, I'm sure, some people in the WordPress community, but I do like that they're integrating a little bit more, some of the more options that are just very obvious that like a lot of the Squarespaces of the world are like just have integrated into their in their management. So like typography being an example that comes to mind is like forever, if you wanted custom typography on your site, you had to either know how to jump into your theme code, right? And like add the files into your theme and reference the files through CSS and whatnot, or you'd have to add a plugin to do that. And, oftentimes those plugins they're just heavy, and you don't need that much code to have something so simple that it shouldn't be that complicated. So Gutenberg has integrated, and they started off as like an experimental feature, but it's now integrated into Gutenberg, where you can just, you can connect to Google Fonts, or you can install custom font files directly in Gutenberg, which is great because that's something that's going to keep, I think, WordPress competitive with Squarespace and Shopify and Wix and whatnot. And so I think more features like that are just like, I get it that you want everything to just be open source and like plugin authors just be able to create these little tiny niche things here and there. But at some point, like I think in order to be competitive, I think it does have to have some of those more global site needs integrated directly into the core of WordPress. So I'm excited about those.
That pretty much is the entire goal of the block editor, is to keep WordPress competitive in a world of Squarespaces and Wix and Weebly's, where these things are available just out of the box in those platforms.
Yeah,
that's when Gutenberg needs to be competitive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, the WordPress community is not going to run Super Bowl ads, right? So you have to do it through continuing to make the product as competitive as you can, I think. So
that's true. I did hear Bluehost on a podcast this morning advertising their WordPress platform, but
yeah,
I get the point that we don't have the advertising budget of the big guys, and
yeah,
hopefully the block editor is something that will keep WordPress competitive for a long time to come.
Yeah, Yeah, me too.
Cool. So how can people find out more about Block Themes Pro?
Blockthemespro.com. Right now we're running a promo on there. It's 50% off. We just have two plans. One is basically kind of the DIY plan. If you just want to download our core block theme and, start diving in and build your own theme or build your own site, you can do that. And then our pro plan, like I said, just comes with hosting. Right now we're using Flywheel as our hosting partner, but I think we're going to switch that to the WP Engine pretty soon. And with that, we also we'll install your favorite demo site for you on that plan.
This is the best place to go if people want to try exploring block themes and what they can offer.
Yeah, definitely. And we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, if you dive in, which is especially useful if you pick that pro plan, because then you can, dive in, we'll set you up with a temporary domain. You browse these different demo sites that we have and just tell us which one you want us to install on that demo site. And then you can just go in and start kind of swapping out content, images, see if it's a good fit for you, try and get in your content as well as you can. And we have support obviously as well that can, kind of guide you along the way. But yeah, so that's it. We try and keep it pretty simple, clean designs, less is more.
Awesome. Oh, thanks so much, Brad. I hope we can do some more work together and keep Gutenberg and the block editor moving forward.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Steve.